Welcome to this week's Future Toolbox podcast. We explore the Z to A of life skills, where each letter stands for a topic and essential tool to help you get ahead in life. Meet Jules and Mark, creators of the multi-award-winning Future Toolbox, and enjoy their straightforward approach to creating growth mindsets that help people turn their dreams into realities. Whether you're a teen in education, a parent, a teacher, or part of a community group, start creating positive habits from today.
Hello everybody and welcome to the latest Z2A podcast with me, Mark, and Jules from the multi-award winning Future Toolbox.
Hello.
Now this is where we pick a letter and a topic and discuss how you can use our tools to improve your own personal development and life. So what is this week's letter?
The letter we've chosen for this episode is O for overcoming adversity. It's about how you deal with a difficult or unpleasant situations or challenges that come about in life, because let's face it, nobody goes through their whole life without any challenges or adversity.
Yeah, we get faced with lots of challenges in life, and sometimes they can be things that are quite simple, like for example getting stuck in the traffic on the daily commute to school or work, or something along those lines, which in reality probably isn't really an adversity, but that compounded over a period of time can lead to lots of stresses in your life. And if you have lots of little stresses, that can lead to a big adversity. However, there are other times where you can get thrown a complete curveball in your life when you're not expecting it. So for example, I suffered my accident and ended up with a brain injury, which I have to deal with every single day, and many of our listeners know about that. And also you were diagnosed with breast cancer, and that came completely out of the blue to us, and it again was something that major trauma and adversity that we had to deal with just like that.
Absolutely. Challenges come in different guises. It is really about building your own support mechanism within yourself, your own resilience to how you deal with them. And as you quite rightly just said, some of the challenges can be just very small ones on a daily basis, like just that effort of getting to school or to work can be a challenge some days with traffic jams, the weather, all sorts of different things. But yeah, it's how you go about them and how you look at those adversities or those challenges and how you get around them.
And as many of our listeners know, we work with loads and loads of teenagers, parents and young adults, and we have done for many years. And we come across lots of people who sometimes receive the devastating news that maybe their child has been diagnosed with ADHD, or somebody in later life has been told they have a neurodiverse condition. And that's quite a blow to actually know that piece of information, even if you've probably suspected it for years. So what we'd like to do is to look at the response mechanism, as you said, in the support network, and also maybe the way that you balance your life up. This could be like a work-life balance or a study-life balance, whichever way you look at it. And maybe we can share some of the tools and tips that we use personally to deal with our adversities of the breast cancer and the brain injury.
Let's start at the brain injury, because our life was going really well at that point. Obviously, we had challenges, because as we said, you do have your daily or perhaps weekly smaller challenges, but this was a huge blow. No pun intended there.
Absolutely.
But we were on holiday. You went to the toilet and our lives just changed instantly.
Yeah, so I blacked out in the toilet, and the next thing is I've no idea what happened next. And obviously you had to deal with that, and that was an initial adversity because we're stuck in a completely foreign country with limited language, and you're having to deal with all these sorts of things, and I've got no idea what's going on at all. And when I came round and realised what would happen, then the next thing is we've got to work out how we're going to get home. So that was the initial adversity. When we got home and found out the severity of the injury, I had to make decisions about operations and what happened next. Then that was the next challenge and obstacle. And then, thankfully, getting the great news about being signed off. And funny enough, this popped up on my social media memories. 12 years ago to the day, it popped up and I'd just been signed off. That was last week. And told to live my life as normal. And I remember reading the comments on there. It was all very positive. It was like, wow, just take it easy. And that just threw us daily challenges that compounded over the next few years until I finally got some support from it. But then, of course, we had the other curveball of you being diagnosed 18 months later.
Yeah, breast cancer is not something you'd wish on anybody, and it was a real shock to both of us that I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And initially, the shock, the devastation, the thought that you're not going to see your grandchildren or things like that was all going through my head. But what I had to do was sit down and have a real strong talk with myself a few days later and decided, no, this is not having me. This is not defining me. I'm going to do whatever it takes and meet this cancer head on, and I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to get it out of my body, out of my system. It's not taking over. So we set about doing that. It took 2 years to finally stop the treatment that was required. Lots of operations, thousands of injections, blood transfusions, all sorts of things. But really, most days was about keeping that mindset of, I need to get myself better.
And also in that 2 years, you were hit by complete adversities of, wow, all of a sudden I'm in hospital again and I'm having to go through these operations or these transfusions or whatever. And they were things that weren't part of the treatment plan. I don't think you can ever plan anything on what you're going to feel. But even just talking about this now, it just seems really weird because it just seems a lifetime ago that we actually went through that. The thing that always stuck with me was how resilient you were from it and how determined you were every single day. In fact, I think you dealt with that so well. But there were times where it was really, really, really tough. And you just think, why are we going through this? Why is this happening? Why is this happening to you? You don't deserve it and everything like that.
Yeah, of course you have all that sort of negativity around it of why me, but you have to really, really push that aside. Now, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm also still a trustee for the wonderful charity in Northamptonshire, Breast Friends. And I have met so many amazing ladies that have been diagnosed with breast cancer, and quite a number that have got incurable breast cancer, which means that it's actually spread to another part of their body. And they're dealing with that every single day. Now, these ladies that are living with incurable cancer are the most incredible people to be around because they make the most of every single day, and they get so many challenges thrown at them because of their treatment, or things change, maybe the cancer's growing a little bit, but their mindset is phenomenal. And I think that is something that is really key when dealing with any form of adversity, is that mindset, trying to stay positive and trying to work out ways of overcoming whatever it is that life's throwing at you.
You just mentioned a key word there. We talk so much about the Future Toolbox because everything's based around this word, but mindset. Mindset is the key word, and it's how you respond to something. So obviously you went through that treatment, which was a horrendous journey. My injury was lesser so because I almost thought I'd recovered, but hadn't recovered because you couldn't see anything. I looked the same as I did before my accident. So nobody could see me going on this journey, but they saw I'd changed as a person. And if I sort of fast forward, I don't want to talk about the whole 6 years of my journey really battling against anxiety and stress and low mood. But they were the things that I experienced. And I think when I got to the end of that line where I finally got support, it put the meaning back to me and you. And we had to think, right, how can we change this? And our response system was to look at, we use the phrase, how to live life on our terms now. And I don't think we knew that phrase existed at the time, but we looked at the things that caused all the side effects and after effects of what we've been through and our adversities, and looked at ways to remove them from our lives. And that came from a real positive mindset. So, for example, if something's going to give me major fatigue, I look at ways to get rid of that. If something's going to cause stress and anxiety in our lives, we need to remove that. If there's a particular person that has a negative impact on it, it sounds a bit harsh, we need to remove them from our lives, don't we? Or associate with them a little bit less.
Remove them from our lives. We don't remove them from the world completely.
No, don't remove them from the world completely, not at all. And then if you go forward to where we are today, we've managed to get our life as close to on our terms as possible. Don't get me wrong, because I didn't really want to go and have a sleep for an hour earlier. I'd rather have done something else, but that was something that I had to do. We call them maintenance rests now, don't we?
We do. We have names for everything.
Yeah. But the mindset is that sometimes you have them as well, because you need to rest. So it's all about self-care. But our response system was massive and our mindset was massive in getting to where we are now.
That's absolutely right. Just being able to take some time and look at everything that's going on around you. Also work on what it is that you actually want out of life. What is causing you the most problems? What do you need? What don't need? So it's like needs versus wants. Well, I'd really like that, but actually this is what I need. And almost sort of stripping everything back down to the basics. We all need somewhere to live. We all need some money. We all need some food. We all know that that's the sort of things. How are we going to manage that without having to be working 70 hours a week or something like that. So it is a little bit of taking a step back, having a look at your life and working out what it is that you really, really want, what makes you happy, what makes your heart sing, and working towards having a life that you're having more of that and less of the things that cause you that angst or anxiety.
And that's something that's individual for everybody, isn't it? Because people can always go, well, yeah, it's okay for you guys, you don't have kids, or it's okay for you guys because you have this or don't have that in your life. And one of the things that we worked on really, really hard was financial situation. We wanted to have the money to be able to do what we wanted to do when we wanted to do it. And one of our plans was to pay our mortgage off. Now, somebody might go, yeah, that's okay, you don't have a mortgage. But we had to work towards that. We had to work to become free of debt. And the way we did that was look at absolutely everything that we paid out every single month and what wasn't necessary. So if you take like the necessities in life, we could argue and say a mobile phone's a necessity, but do we need the latest model that's going to cost us 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds a month? Or do we have a model that just works for us and think, well, I can pay less for that? So it is sometimes balancing your priorities up. Somebody will go, well, I need a new car. Do you need a new car or do you want a new car? That's the difference, isn't it? The needs versus wants is massive in there. But one thing we must remember is working towards a life on your own terms doesn't happen overnight.
No.
So you can't just go, right, I've got £100,000, I'm going to pay the mortgage off or whatever.
No, you have to work towards things. I think it's about working towards creating the life that keeps you the most happiest and the calmest, which is ultimately what we'd like. And even through doing all of this, you know, we still face challenges. To be fair, the brain injury gives us challenges every single day. Some we can expect, others we possibly don't. But one of the greatest gifts I think that we can do as human beings is actually look at ways of finding joy when things are going tough. And I do remember going back to those days when I was very poorly with all the treatment. I was trying to look after the house and do everything. So all you had to do was go to work if you had a school gig that day. So there was no stress on you. So you could just have focus on that one thing, because obviously you were really dealing with the brain injury, hidden disabilities that it had left you. But every single day I went to bed and I found something to be grateful for before I went to sleep. And I made sure that I did that, even if it was the worst day ever, I couldn't eat, ill, whatever. There would be something within that day that was good and gave me joy, and I'd find it.
And that's a really, really comforting position to go to bed at night, think of something really, really positive. So then that can help calm your mind, slow it down, and hopefully get you into a great state of sleep that you wake up the next morning ready to go and face the next day. And you can face the next day with gratitude as well. You can wake up hopefully feeling quite positive. And if you don't, look at ways to practice these gratitudes. Look at ways to add positivity into your life and, as we say, remove the negativity from it and work towards those goals. Set those goals and think, right, okay, what is it I actually want to achieve? Where do I want to be? Right, how can I make small steps every single day in how to get there, instead of a defeatist attitude of, well, I have this in the way, I have that in the way, that's a problem, that's an issue, that's a barrier, that's an obstacle. And that's where your adversities lead up, because then they become bigger.
Very true. And one of the biggest things as well is whether you're facing huge challenges or not, one of the most important things to do is actually take care of yourself. And we talk about this quite a bit. We call it the shed. So we make sure that you look after your body and your mind. Make sure you get enough sleep. You keep yourself hydrated. You try and do some exercise. Even when I was going through that treatment, I would still exercise, even if it was just a gentle walk every single day. And obviously your diet, what you put into your body, is going to help your mood and help you combat whatever it is that you're trying to get over or face.
And that did massively change in our lives, our diet. I mean, not that we ate really badly before or anything like that, but you certainly looked at ways of improving what you put into your body. And then that's where we go on to, we've talked about the 80-20 rule, about eating healthily 80% of the time and having the cake 20% of the time. That's been in previous podcasts too.
I just had some cake before we started recording this, and it was lovely.
Yeah, and there's still a slice left, so guess
yours.
what I might do in a moment. I'm going to move on to a conversation I had with somebody last week who is here on holiday in Lanzarote, and they were quite well involved in rehabilitation following brain injury, and some friends had shared our story with them. And this guy was asking me a little bit about my life, what I'd gone through, and the stories and the adversities that we'd faced. But one thing he was talking about was the fact that I've learned to play the guitar and sing following a brain injury, and this is also something we've talked about on previous podcasts, because many of our listeners will know that I had no musical talent or experience before this other than listening to something. And this chap was saying that that's a massive achievement, not only learning it and learning the two together completely from scratch, but also doing that with a neurodiverse condition.
And in a very short period of time, really.
Absolutely. In less than a year, I managed to perform on stage on my own. That then made me realise that if I can do something like that, then people can do things that are beyond their limits. Now, to me, I'm obviously very, very proud of that, but I didn't have any doubts along the way thinking, well, do you know what? I've got a brain injury. I can't do this. But I think that then came from my mindset. And the more you think about what you want to achieve, the more you can work towards it. And we meet people all the time that are overachieving things that they probably shouldn't be achieving. But why shouldn't they be achieving them? That's just a really raw statement I've just said there. They're not overachieving at all. They're achieving exactly what they deserve because they've put their mindset to it. So you think about the things that you want to achieve and then take those small steps towards how you want to live life on your own terms. And for me, singing and playing a guitar is something that I want in my life. So that's a part of my life on my own terms. And we enjoy our music, don't we? I must give a big shout out to my drummer as well. Of course, you're fabulous at that. You're fabulous at drumming.
Thank you so much. But I think the key takeaway, if you want to take anything from this podcast, is following any form of adversity or challenge that you may face. Or it might be something that is like the ladies that I talk to every single day that are living with an incurable cancer, is to make every day have meaning. I think that's really, really important. By making sure that every day has meaning, it will give you that mindset of wanting to get the best out of everything, out of every opportunity that you might have. Now, it doesn't have to be major things like thinking, wow, I'm going to swim the channel today or something like that. It's not about that. It's about making sure that you do something that you enjoy at least once or twice each day.
Yes, do remember to take care of yourself, take care of your body, take care of your mind and take care of your soul. We want to thank you all for joining us on this podcast episode. Of course, we've shared lots of snippets from our story there, but if you want to find out more, you can get some tools from our website, which is futuretoolbox.co.uk. And of course, we're always sharing more on our social media on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. You can go to our YouTube channel and find some videos on there. And also we're on LinkedIn if you want to reach out, because we are
everywhere.
We are indeed. And we look forward to catching you on the next episode.
Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us for the Z2A of Life Skills with Jules and Mark of the Future Toolbox. Don't forget to head over to their website, which is futuretoolbox.co.uk, where you can find lots of free resources, plus a host of books in the store, as well as subscribing to the membership site. Follow Future Toolbox Instagram, TikTok and Facebook at Future Toolbox, and subscribe to their YouTube channel too.